Let's start tonight by applying the words realize the space, realize simply being. Other words that might point to a way in which we can enable that sense of being to become our closest realization is to say, notice the body being supported by the chair or the bed, where the parts of the body meet that with which we are seated on or laying on. And take a deep breath down to the very bottom of our capacity to do so. And stay there for a second and allow that to leave, taking with it ideas about now. Take another breath down to the deepest part of our being. And taking with it any dreams about how well the performance of breathing is being carried out by an imaginary person. Breathe that out. Breathe in once more, down to the bottom of our capacity to do so. And staying there for a moment, allow the breath to gently leave the body once more, allowing ideas about the day to move out the top of the skull. All the while landing in the place we've never left, called here and now. Breathing is the most intimate of experiences. Yet prior to that is the awareness in which breathing rises and falls. So breathe once more into that and be the awareness in which breathing rises and falls. Breathe to the bottom of our capacity to do so. Stay there for a second and allow that breath to leave the body out the top of the skull. And allow your breathing function. Let go of that and allow it to return to its usual hidden in plain sight utilitarian functionality. So just let breathing be. Let go of breathing. Let go of the illusion that we had anything to do with controlling our breath. Though the breath is, of course, a great anchor in the moment. When we find ourselves overwhelmed by the personhood, the story, the complexities of modern living, the body is always a great anchor for presence and is the key in the door or the gateway which we can open to realize that we are on the inside of that which we are trying to open to get to. The body will enable us to realize the here and now. And be. Notice any sensations in the body. Any pointers to sensory experience? Any feelings that are remnants of the day, the decade, or the divine? Any thoughts that may be echoing from earlier on today about her, him, it, that, then, or there? Just breathe into that, breathe that out. You won't need that right now. You can always pick that up again later. So let's come back to the support of the chair. Couple that with the experience of the movement of the body. Breathing happens. Feel those both together, the chair and the breathing function. Add to that the sound of this voice, applied language. So there's the sensation of the chair in the body, the movement of breathing, listening. And the screen of awareness on which these concepts are rising as they're being listed by the voice. Now notice the presence of awareness even in the absence of the voice, undivided by the voice or the absence of it. At the back of all apparent experience is the space in which the I thought rises and falls 1,000 times a day. When we apply the word I, and to some extent me, mine, myself, when we constantly self-refer, it is this sensed, spacious experience we're referring to as we say, I think, I feel, I sense, I like, I'm uncomfortable, I hurt, I want, I don't want. Breathe all of that out. And be here now. Isn't it gorgeous? The wind stopped blowing. And if we're honest, we can say, don't see anything the matter here. There is simply being. So we can see that with the application of setting aside the thought life, the emotional winds, calming and calamitous, though they may be, the sense of being a body and a person, and the perceptive field through which all of this and that is filtered. From the apparent stance of simply being, from the sensed emptiness, we can say wholeness, fullness, peace, contentment, calm, even happiness, beauty is apparent, is known. Nothing is missing. What remains is not a thing. In some ways, remaining remains. Simple, ordinary, radical, profound, empty bliss. I think peace is our most pertinent word. And with such positioning, posturing, apparent posturing as we've just taken, with this peace as our starting point, or place, or known experience, the intimacy of this true self sense of simply being, in which we find something known even closer than the very breath happening to us, the space in which that same breath appears to be happening. There's nothing closer. It is our good self, our God self. From this, everything else rises and falls. Life is happening with a capital L. And we are not doing it, it's being done to us. In fact, we can go even closer than that. We can say we're not doing it, it's being done. Any object we can think of, any word we can apply, can only limit the experience of simply being. Nothing, in fact, can be added. No object, no concept, no journey, no path, no book, no step, no person, no thing, no objectification can increase the eternal spaciousness of simply being. All else that rises to this sense of beingness is first a thought, a movement of the beingness itself. So we can create out of this beingness, we can say, sensation of our feet on the floor, and then we create a concept, we apply language, and attention moves using the senses of the body to a sense of touch, that is feet on floor. And whilst that anchoring of our experience in the moment is beautifully illustrated by the application of the object, or the objective nature of the sensation of feet on the floor, we might then say, gently clench our right fist. So let's do that. And now we create another movement of attention which veils and limits the previous sensation of feet on the floor. Now we have the sense of slight tension in the right hand, and we can unclench our right hand. Maybe now we might say, sensation of the backs of a skull. And although there might not necessarily be a sense of sensation, there's a sense of something known at the back of the skull, maybe even better, the nape of the neck, where our apparently beautifully given spine is supporting our heads on the dreamt body. Let's breathe back into that. Let's breathe the very giftedness of all of this right now. So by reducing ourselves away from the objects of experience to the direct, formless field of experience itself, nothing is needed. No things are necessary. This absolute awareness, givenness, grace offered, knowing, of God's nature. Is the only reality, is reality. Without works, without deeds, and we just come right back down and land with the breathing function, sustaining the body and the mind. As the spirit is having its human experience, the divine nature is known by the apparent person. Without end. Thank you. Thank you. When you're ready, you bring yourselves back. Opening our eyes, bringing some of the sense of seeing. And if we can, remaining with that quality of beingness, use the body, as we open our eyes, use the body, still, sense of the seat, sensation of the feet, to remain with what is without, as we open our eyes, allowing the persistence of the personhood, the identity, the thinking, feeling, sensing and perceiving to take its own illusory breath of relief that the emptiness in which it has no function has apparently ended. Of course, it hasn't ended. If you have a drink, take a sip of your drink, take a sip of chai. Thank you, everybody.